But their relationship is tested when Kelly encounters a world-famous singer on board a train, played by the real-life European recording and film star, Marta Eggerth. Now, in my research for tonight's 1942 musical, I did not expect to find that Marta Eggerth is still alive, let alone still recording and performing at the tender age of 99. But she is. And that's why when you came in tonight, you heard this opera singer, Matt Barton, the curator for recorded sound, this week threw together that CD to kind of give you highlights of her life. Her latest CD came out last year. Judy Garland liked Marta so much that she cast her in her next film, presenting Lily Mars. In an interesting side story, in my efforts to reach Marta, for who I was looking to get a quote from her, I contacted her son, who I was able to hook up with the recorded sound department so he could further research both of his parents. His father was a famous opera singer, Jan Kapura, and his mother's recordings from radio shows they made in the late 1930s. He's been looking for them for decades. Guess where they survive? On the second floor of this building. This is what we do in this building, we preserve. To add to this film's amazing pedigree are the talented director Busby Berkeley. He was kind of famous for doing all these great camera shots and incredible choreography of huge, you're not going to see any of that in this film. But this was also his favorite film. And the producer with the Midas touch, Arthur Freed, who insisted Kelly be given this role to prove himself. And the cameraman was William Daniels. If you know much about early film, he was Greta Garbo's favorite cameraman. And the new kid on the block, Gene Kelly, had no less than danced on Broadway, sang, directed, and choreographed, but this was his first film. This was a test. Would the public like him? And they did. MGM gambled $400,000 on this feature and made back more than 10 times their investment. And as they say in Hollywood, a star was born. Kelly would win Best Actor of the Year award from the National Board of Review. Now, you probably don't know who these guys are, but it's the largest organization of film critics. Think about that for a second. Professional film snobs. These intellectuals just look at a movie, dissect it, find out what's wrong. And this year, they said the best actor in all the movies made was Gene Kelly in this film. He would go on to make 35 films. Many are considered four-star classics, including titles like Brigadoon, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Cover Girl, Anchors Away, It's Always Fair Weather, and 2 films, Summer Stock and The Pirate, both with Judy Garland, and American in Paris, On the Town, Inherit the Wind, and a little film called Singing in the Rain. Then, this afternoon, I got a phone call. Marta Eggerth called me. Her son told her I was interested in getting a quote. So I answered the phone, and Marta said, "Larry, what do you want to know about this film?" And I said, Marta, it's an honor to talk with you. And please pardon me if I mispronounce anything. I haven't been around the world, and I made up a little bio I want to read the audience. So I told her this bio. I'm going to give it to you, where she came from, why she is who she is. She was kind of discovered at the age of 12 in Hungary. She was considered an opera wonder kid. She actually toured around Europe at the age of 12 singing. Her first major opera was in 1929 for Max Reinhardt in Die Fledermaus. She made her first film in 1930, and composer Franz Lehar fell in love with her and wrote 2 films for her. He's the guy that wrote The Merry Widow, if you don't know who Franz is. She was married to Jan Kapura, the great Polish tenor, opera, and film star. They met while making the film My Heart is Calling You in 1934. She signed a contract with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer in Hollywood, and during the 1940s made 2 movies with Judy Garland, For Me and My Gal, and presenting Lily Mars in 1943. In 1943, along with her husband, they had a huge success performing The Merry Widow on stage, eventually performing it around the world over 200 times. She interrupted me. She said, it was closer to 2,000 times. She has made over 40 films in 4 different languages. Sadly, in 1966, Jan Kapoor, her husband, passed away suddenly and Marta retired. Then in the 1970s, she returned to making TV and concert appearances. She is still active today in New York, singing cabaret-style shows and teaching an opera masterclass at the age of 99. She said, yeah, that's pretty much my life. So I asked her, how did you become cast in the film? I mean, she had made, this was Gene Kelly's first film, but Marta had already made 20 films by the time she was cast in this one. She said that Louis B. Mayer, in person, came to her in Paris and begged her to sign a contract. He wanted to put her in operetta films. This was just before World War II was to break out. Both she and her husband had Jewish mothers. They had to get out of Europe. I told her I read that a scene was cut, and she said, yeah, the spell of the waltz. It's an incredible number from what I've heard. She said when it played at the premiere, she got a 5-minute standing ovation for this one number. But after the premiere, the editor thought the film ran long and cut it because she wasn't the number 1 or 2 star, she was actually number 4. I asked her about Judy Garland. I mean, imagine having somebody who worked with, what was Judy Garland like? She said she was lovely, very sweet, very nice. But some days she would be sad or a little unhappy, and Marta tried to pull her out and ask her what was going on. She wouldn't talk about it. But that Judy embraced Marta and told her how much she admired her. Judy Garland admired Marta's singing. What about Gene Kelly? He was very much the professional. He studied everything, every step. He worked on it. He said it was not fun, it was work, and he worked hard. What about the director, Busby Berkeley? Very interesting, she said, always making big scenes. So she asked him to make an intimate scene for her. I love this. A little scene where her soul could show. When was the last time you watched the film? I said to the 99-year-old star who was in it. She said when it came out. I told her to get her son to get the movie and sit down and watch it with him. It's great, and she's great in it. And I did not ask her about a scene in the film. This is one of those things you just don't ask the star. There's a scene in the film where she's playing piano for Gene Kelly, and they go in for a close-up. Well, they discovered after the film was edited and shot that there was a bit more cleavage in the shot than they wanted. So they fuzzy it up, and you'll see it in the picture, that they kind of take that part of the scene out of focus. What did it say on the internet? It said too much cleavage during the close-up, so they blurred her bodice. I asked her, what do you think of the film now? She said it was a job, and she was glad to be here in America. She was relieved to be safe. Both she and her husband had Jewish mothers, so they were lucky to get out of Europe alive. She then invited me and my wife to come visit her for coffee cake and a real Hungarian lunch. So for my birthday in August, we're going to New York. So I asked her a final question. I said, how do you feel about film preservation? She said, it's a beautiful thing to do for the next generation. What will they do? If they don't care about the past, how can they learn from it? And then she added something. She said, I have a message to your audience. She wants to send you greetings. She said, please watch when she sings, Do I Love You? It's not only does she sing it, but she feels it with her own little heart, her own feelings. And she said, just for them. I hope you enjoyed the short and the film. Thank you for coming.